So it is the honesty, because God is a spirit, so it's in the spirit. My mind, the human mind is not enough to understand God. God is too vast for the human mind. And so no matter how intelligent a man is, it's just like saying that an ant is intelligent. The intelligence of a man will not understand the body composition of a human being. No matter how an ant is intelligent, he will not understand why a man is different from a woman, or why a man is, he doesn't, he just doesn't, they are not in two different dimensions. So
I see.
So it's by intellect, nobody can. It's just like a product. Any product can never understand the complexity of its producer. Not even the producer, even of the factory that produced it. Like this cup now, there's no amount of intellect it can have for it to even understand the factory that is manufacturing it. Talk less of the person who set up the factory.
That's why I'm like, okay, we're growing in intelligence. It's supposed to be obvious to us that the world is complicated. This individual actually noticed that it's not, it's just the absence, it's just the battling with the concept. It's just the problem.
Yeah, the more intelligent we become, it is rather the opposite. The more prideful we become. That is the nature of man. We don't become more sensible with intelligence. We become more proudful with intelligence. Unfortunately, that's the way life is. So most people, the more you get to know, the more. It is only in rare cases you will find very, very intelligent people who say, the more I know that I don't know anything. But that's on a very rare occasion. Most human beings will think that the more they know, the more they think they are gods. Yeah, people are full of the product of pride, and that is what Satan is using to trap them, because they are not honest enough to admit to their own frailty and their own weakness.
How much will you know before you die? Because you'll be acquiring knowledge till you are 80 and I think you have already captured everything. Then you discover that you know nothing yet, and before you notice it,
death is knocking at the door, yeah. Okay, we have Facebook on. We have David here, Odinaka, Igor 4, Henry, Ayo, Akimboboye, Omorui, Bridget, Sally, BC, Blessing, David, Vivian, Sally, Adebiyi, Flora, Linda. Yeah, a lot of people are there on Facebook. Please go and share the message with your friends, everybody on Facebook. Go share with your family members and go tag your families and your friends. Let me see who is there on YouTube. We have Adeola, we have Idara, we have VCN. Right. Yeah, you are saying something about, learning a lot or knowing a lot.
Yes, I'm saying that you might think you have acquired a lot of knowledge, only to discover that you're getting to 80, and before you notice, death is calling you, and then you will see that you don't even know anything at all.
Yeah, that's why Solomon is regarded as the wisest of all men, and he depicted that very well when he said, life is all vanity, vanity upon vanity. So I think that a lot of you atheists, Nigerian and African atheists, you are probably very satisfied or very glad at the fact that I am doing such a cleansing with the Nigerian church and challenging the cabals and talking your languages. or talking
Yeah,
talking your language.
that's why I told that the atheists relate mostly to your messages because that's what they are against. Most of them today abandon religion because of that specific reason. They don't understand. Some of them are able to understand what's going on, and they get frustrated. They don't have any idea. Again, they say, "Oh, these people better abandon this religion and give
So
them
they
what to do."
become atheists because of the misdemos, I mean, misbehaviors, yeah, of all these people, right?
So, so some. Why some go out of it out of sheer curiosity, searching for knowledge continuously. Like you said, the more you search for knowledge, the more arrogant you become.
Yeah.
And if you're not very careful, you'll be taken away. In my own case, it happened that there was a mixture of knowledge that came in. First of all, it was the hate, it was the disdain for the Europeans that they introduced certain systems to us and they therefore enslaving us psychologically. That was the idea I had in the beginning. But then when I continued into it, and I discovered that this thing is deeper than this. So the idea of hating European Eurocentric ideas now was put aside. There's certain things took over. That is when I discovered that okay, now some basically are against this religion because it came from the Europeans. But the irony is that we're speaking today in English. There are a lot of things we appropriate that belong to the Europeans. So when I look at it, I say, oh, the last time you fired me, you put me on the hot seat. Before this program, I was watching the program that we did and I was asking myself, I tried to answer the question. You gave me certain instruction to pray with all sincerity and all honesty and ask God to visit me. And you also encouraged me to be more honest to myself. So I look back into the program and I listened carefully to some of the questions you asked. One of the questions was, what role did you play in determining the place and the condition of your birth? I think when then the program with that, you answered the question. It was a question directed to me and I was not able to answer. So you said that if you could be able to answer, or the Bible will provide any answer to such question, will I see reason to believe in the Christian God now? So I'm posing this question back to you to understand what role did you play or who determined the condition and the place of our birth? First of all, who, when, and how?
First of all, no matter the amount of answers or the quality of answer that I give, that will not help you to get to know God and to discover God if you don't follow the major rules that I had given to you. That to discover God, you need two things. You need sincerity of heart, that is honesty with yourself, sincerity of heart, and you need humility of heart. So two things, sincerity of heart and humility of heart. So humility will tend from the fact that those questions that I asked you, you've got to be humble enough to admit that, hey, you've got to be humble enough to say, God, I admit that I don't have answers to these questions. If that is the truth. And if that's the truth, so that sincerity is necessary and humility at the same time. Okay, somebody is asking a question here. Muna, about supporting Omoyele Sowore for president. Well, this is not the program where we ask questions. If you want, you might want to ask a question. You might want to call in during the program in one of the evenings when you could call in, maybe tonight, or you could write the question for a Saturday program. We normally have a fortnight, every fortnight of Saturday, we have question and answer. So you could ask that question then. I have my opinion about that, but I'm going to express it when it is formally asked. But right now we are discussing another topic, so this is not the forum to answer that question. So even though I can give you answers to those other questions that you are asking, Innocent, but if the two conditions that will really help you are not there, you will just be having more head knowledge. And more head knowledge will get to a place whereby it will be giving you diminishing returns. So the returns on the knowledge will not be transformational, it will be diminishing effect. It will be having diminishing effect instead of transformational effect. So what that means is that the more knowledge you will get from me, the less value you will attach to it. It will be having diminishing effect. It will be diminishing in its effect on you, because you are just taking it as more added knowledge to what you know, but it will not be transforming you. And that's not the whole idea why we're doing what we're doing. The whole idea is, the whole idea of any knowledge whatsoever is for it to lead to transformation. So any knowledge that is not transforming will end up puffing up, will end up, leading to pride and arrogance. So that's not what we want. But I can answer the question straightforward, but just for you to know for yourself that to get in touch with God, the most powerful aspect of God is experiential. So it's the greatest thing that will happen to you in relations to God is to get Him come down to you, for you to experience Him. And for you to experience Him, those two conditions must be met: the humility of heart and the sincerity of heart. So they go together somehow, but the two of them have to be together. Once somebody admits that, I am helpless, and that I need you to help me or to show up if you are there, then the experiential stage will begin where the knowledge stage ends. The same thing when somebody is sincere enough or humble enough to admit to what or to where he is limited, when he's humble enough to admit to his own limitation, then the strength of God comes into bearing. So, it's not a big deal. I can still answer the question, but I would like to hear you before I go ahead, I guess. Or you have to ask the question again.
What would you like to hear from me? Because
no, maybe if you feel like saying anything. If not, then just repeat the question.
All right, okay. The question you asked was that what role did I play?
Yeah, I know the question I asked, but I know what you would like to, you would like to hear, what aspect of it, or would you like me to emphasize in my answer, or what aspect of it would you like me to answer, or one answer or two answers? Do you want me to break it down, or just come again with those questions?
Yes, I think it's very paramount that these things have been understood. So here we are, experiencing God. I want to understand if experiencing God equates to knowledge, because when one is experiencing something, one is convinced about it.
Yeah.
But one has to go on to undertake certain research, and the Bible is there to tell us more details about God. So that the only source of knowledge that people have now is the Bible. The The Bible explains a lot of things about humanity, where we come from, where we are going to, where we are, what we need to do. But some people find it, they don't think it's satisfying enough because of certain things that are happening around them. A lot of conditions, a lot of things about human nature, unanswered questions. I discussed this specific topic with some of my friends, and they were like, okay, there is a biological explanation to your question, there is a geographical explanation to your question, and there is a spiritual aspect answer to your question. So if you're basing your question on the spiritual aspect, that's another different case to look at. If you're basing it on geographical aspect, if you're basing it on political aspect or biological aspect, how human found themselves in Africa, or how human, by geography or by setting, they will tell you how some million years ago the earth was one, then there was some kind of volcanic eruption and everything. South America went its way. It's currently happening now in Kenya. So there are some of those explanations, and how human tend to create borders and why you have to remain in certain territories before. So they say that there are answers according to politics, according to geography, according to biology. But it's clear that you are actually seeking for a spiritual answers to such questions, because there are certain manipulation that goes on in the spiritual realm for a baby to form. I don't know if the word plausible, if the word spiritual is the accurate word for that, but there are certain actions, certain energy that goes on to form a child. So right now, I want to understand, because you seem to understand that there are certain laws and there are certain actions which is more of the spiritual aspect. Of course, if as individuals, as human, we cannot determine our place of that. So this question now, how can you answer it? How can you approach it, both spiritually, geographically, biologically, and afterward there are questions that still follow it. There are some who then left the ground.
So so there were 10 questions or 12, 15 or so questions I gave you. So give, which one in particular do you want? Is it about your parents, or is it about your place of birth, or is it about, so which one concretely do you want to answer now?
The place and the condition of my birth.
Okay.
I don't have any role to play in it, so who is it?
Okay. The place and condition of your birth. Good. To all those questions, there is an answer. And the answer is in the Bible. God has the answers. The place and condition of your birth was informed by the particular objective that God had in mind when He decided to package you. So the place and condition of your birth is called the packaging. Your packaging to be released to the earth. And that packaging is informed by the purpose that you are supposed to play. The goal, the mission for which you are being sent. So let's say I have this product here. It's sulfates.
Yes.
So that is the product inside. It has a purpose. It has an objective. So the packaging that we have for it, so that we could be removing it from here, and the form of it and the style of it is connected to the mission, the assignment that it has. Okay. On the other hand, if I would take this thing, this is a speaker here that I have. It's totally different shape and totally different, stuff, because everything depends on the assignment they are supposed to carry out, and the purpose they are supposed to meet. They were created for on the earth. So, on one hand, the place and the condition of your birth, God knowing what you are supposed to do for him here and what he wants you to do, God doesn't give consent. It's not about giving consent. God doesn't package any human being for human delivery or manifestation unless there is a need for that person. So there is probably a need. So the reason for God to have decided that you are needed as a black man to be born in the environment and the area where you are born and the conditions of your birth is connected to the fact that there are some needs in that particular environment and area that need to be addressed, and God has packaged into you some cells, some molecules, some genes, some talents, some abilities that are perfectly collected, and God had placed some of those things inside the genes also of your mother and of your father, knowing that it is only the combination of the two of them that will be able to produce the particular individual that will be needed for this particular assignment that needs to be carried out and be fulfilled in that particular geographical location or with that particular skin color. So your birth and the process of your manifestation on the earth did not start with the day that you were born. Neither did it start with the existence of your parents. So your appearance on the earth is being long envisioned and conceived by God himself because of the need that would need to be addressed in that particular segment of time, but that will also need some unique abilities and unique giftings, which must be directed by unique blood cells and DNA combinations for you to be able to be different from your other siblings and to be put to be packaged with some distinctive peculiarities. Then, even though your mom and your father are husband and wife and they are giving birth, but because of your own assignment, they have to give birth to you when they are at a particular age, during a particular situation in their lives that is connected to being able to give you the things that you would need to be able to make you come back to address or to be open to addressing the assignments that he had envisioned for you. So that's why I asked the question. The place and the condition of your birth is much more complex, even than your mother and father could even try to attempt to answer.
It's pretty obvious that humans in general do not have anything to play in determining where they're born. So it's one of those questions we ask ourselves: how come the diversity among humans. You have white people, you have who are the Caucasians, you have the Asians, you have the Indians, and the Africans. How this diversity came about? Was it part of the God's plan? And it's really interesting what you're saying, because if I understand clearly, there's a process of a man depositing spermatozoa in the body of a woman for her to incubate it. And there are thousands of these things that are in competition to be able to attend an ovary. So if I understand clearly, the single spermatozoa that was able to fertilize the egg of a woman to produce the life that gives human today is already something that is programmed already. You're trying to say to me that it's programmed, it's already manipulated. There's a law set by God for this thing to happen, particularly that God should specifically, out of the thousands of spermatozoa that are being inserted into a woman, that this specific spermatozoa will meet this woman, get fertilized, and give to life. So how about the case of conjoined twins? You have a situation whereby they give birth to two human beings that are joined together, their brain, their body, their legs are. What happened? Was there anything wrong? Where was God when in the formation of these babies? Two babies that are given birth together with their body joined together, their head and legs, everything. They call it the conjoined twins case. What happened in that process of their formation? What is their destiny? What is their purpose in life with them being created conjoined?
All right. Even when we have conjoined twins, before I even answer that question, I will give you the opportunity to answer it by yourself.
Okay.
When you see twins that are conjoined together, what is conjoined? Is it the bodies of those two people, or their mind, or their spirit?
Is that a question?
Yes.
Well, their body, biologically, they're physically joined, first of all, and their mind is joined. They have this shared brain. You have a situation where two heads, you have a head by hand, eyes, and of course, a single brain that connected the head.
So what is joined? Is it the mind or the body?
Both the body, we can assume.
Because you wanted to say the mind, but you said you now gave the right answer, which is the body.
I'm not an expert in that, so I don't know much.
No. Even if you think deeply, much more deeply, you will know that it is not the mind. The mind cannot be conjoined together. It is the body that is joined together.
What is the mind?
If it is the mind that is joined together, then there will be no dichotomy in the personalities and their thinking process. Then you will not be able to separate the thought of the two. But no matter how conjoined the twins are, what you will discover is that they have their two minds, separate minds, individual minds. Even when their heads are joined together, they still remain individuals. So much that when they are now disjointed or separated, they still remain two individuals. You might not even know that they were conjoined before. But even while they are still together, their minds, despite the fact that their heads are together, their minds are still independent. So when I say that you yourself can answer the question, it means that in the real sense, conjoined twins is not a working of God.
Okay.
Conjoined, so it's like you are drilling me to go deeper than I think it's necessary into this explanation.
You said something earlier that will have closed this debate off, but there are people that are asking these questions. How can they have the answer?
No, I'm going to answer it. But I just want to answer it in a way that it will be easier for both you and our listeners to understand. I'm going to go into bigger complexity. Okay, when a woman is pregnant and the man's sperm it enters into the woman, out of the thousands that you said could become a child, the conjunction or the joining together of the egg of the man and the woman does not result in a child automatically or in a baby. That joining together of the eggs is only for one purpose. It is only for the purpose of the development of the body of that future child. So what God needs the egg of the man for and the egg of the woman for is only for the formation of the bones, the material aspect of the human. But that bone and skin and all tissue, all these things that we have, the material body that is needed, that comes from the husband and the wife, that is the least part of the human being. And that is only needed because that man that is about to be born or that child that's about to be born needs to function on the earth. He only needs, a child only needs the sperm or the egg of the woman and the egg of the man just for the formation of the body. And so why do we need the formation of the body? Because we need him to be physically tangible. We need that child to be physically tangible on the earth. But those two eggs that come together and the embryos that come together and develop into a child, that is not the child. That is not the baby yet. That is just the house in which the baby will live. But there is a greater and a more complicated miracle that happens, which doctors cannot explain. The doctors can only they can only tell you the fact that a child is born. If they had been able to explain it, they would have been able to produce children without men and women. But we cannot. We cannot produce life. We cannot replace life. We cannot generate life. So why is that not possible? Because there is an invisible, which is the most important aspect of conception, that is not as in the power of a man. And it's not even in the power of the man and woman. Just like saying, but right now you said something. You said out of the millions of sperms, the eggs that men have, one only enters and conjugates to become that child. So the question people ask is that why that particular one? Why? Actually, with the amount of sperms in a man, do you know that it only takes 18? Is it 18? Is it 18 or 38? I think less than 50 men. Maybe I forgot. It's either 18 or 58 men to
impregnate all the women in the world.
To impregnate all the women in the world. Huh?
Yes, I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I think it's less than 50. Let's say 38 or so. Less than 50 men can impregnate 2 billion women in the whole world. So the question now will be, why is it that, one man or 50 men are not impregnated? Why do we need all the other men? If 50 alone can impregnate all the women on earth. Why is it that, why do we need all other men? Well, that's another question. But let me go back to my answer, provide the answer for you. So what I'm saying is that out of the million sperm that is released, why is it that that particular one, only one, gets to impregnate, that becomes a child, or sometimes it is 2 or 3 or 4, but still 100 or millions of them still have to perish. So why that? What happens is that even let me give you another fact, despite the fact that there are millions of sperms that are being, eggs that are being released by the men, on occasions, a man and a woman could live for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and not, even though he's releasing millions of eggs at the same, every time they have intercourse. A man and a woman could still live together for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and none of them will become a child. People say different things, she's barren or this and that. But barrenness, how is it explained? It's simply explained because, that barrenness will make sense now after I finish my explanation. So what I'm saying is that the conjunction of the egg of the man and the woman together, they only come together to form the body of the child. And the reason for the body of the child to be formed is because that child needs a body to function on the earth because of law of gravity, and because we operate by the law of space and time. So because of that, a body is needed here on the earth. But that body is not the person. That body that forms as a result of the conjunction of the 2 eggs of the man and woman does not result in the person. It doesn't result in innocent. The egg of your dad and mom is not what gave birth to innocent. But still, it was necessary. The egg of your dad and mom was still necessary. Why were they necessary? To give you the body that innocent is now carrying. But why is it that it has to be your mom and your dad? If it is just body that is needed. It is the reason why we still need that body and that particular unique cell that conjugates with that particular unique woman cell is because even though you have the same mother and father, but that uniqueness in all the millions of eggs that were there is needed to be able to differentiate between you and me. So that importance of the conjugation of the eggs is necessary, and the timing is necessary, and the particular egg that comes through is necessary, so that even though both of us are from the same father and mother, and we are both black, from the same country, from the same father and mother, but because of the particular conjunction of that particular egg to that particular egg, it spells out the uniqueness of each one of us that cannot be repeated. But that uniqueness is needed for the recognition and separation of our features, body and physical features. Only. Body and physical features.
Okay.
So when the children that you are talking about, the semen's children, or the conjoined twins, when they are giving birth to like that, what is the problem? The problem is not with God. The problem is with the conjunction. It's a biological process that is happening there. It is on the level of the blood body and the flesh. But that still doesn't make that particular person human. that even that conjunction is not what determines your humanity. Even the uniqueness of your futures and the uniqueness of my futures is not what determines your humanity and my humanity. There's a greater and more complex process or miracle that happens that is not explainable to the doctors, and that has not made the doctors to be able to produce children without men and women, or even with men and women. And that particular thing, unique thing that happens, is that the coming together of the eggs by itself doesn't result in a child, even though it could result in a body. The missing element, which is the most important element, is the life. The body doesn't equal to life. So what happens is that at the point when the eggs are coming together, there is the God factor. What is the God factor? God, when those eggs are moving, they are fighting to enter. Mm-hmm. When they are fighting, there is a breath of God. It is when the breath of God happens that drives in to the whole. And it is that breath of God that makes it to become not just body, but life. So the life itself is superior to the body. So even though the body will still be growing, but without that life of God, the body will not grow. There is no sense. It will be growing emptiness. So the breath of God happens at every single time there is, conception of a woman, either it is artificial or it is conjunctional, anyhow. So it is that breath, but if there is no breath of God, let 1,000 men be sleeping with her. Those cells will still not result in a child. So when the body joins together like that, it is just the body that's joined together. It is not the life. So that's why even when their eggs are together, they are still different individuals with different minds.
There are instances of a man with two heads.
Huh?
There are instances with a man with two heads. I think I saw it just a few days ago on Facebook, but it was a friend who shared it on the group, but I've forgotten to. Okay, here's another example. I think I get your message clearly because I have.
So any deformation you see with the man or human being, with either with the body, it is all in the process, because while that body is growing, the function of God is to give the life. Now there are different conditions of the man and the woman at that point when the baby gets into them. Sometimes it is the mutation. There might be a mutation of the cell of the man, or a mutation in the cell of the woman that could lead to disability, or it might be some disorder or something in the process of growth, or a woman can have an accident, or she might misstep or anything could happen, or might abuse something, a substance or medicine, or things could happen. But it's not affecting the personality of the person. So when people like Hitler then come out and say that you must utilize, or what do you call it? Euthanasia. Yeah, you must utilize
eugenics.
Eugenics, yeah. They came up with the eugenics theory and said that you must utilize and kill some people that are deformed, that are not having proper body growth. What they are not realizing is that, the body is not perfect, but the mind is whole inside. And the thing they don't think about is that with disability, every one of us has the potential to become disabled. Maybe not just potential, most likely every one of us will be disabled in our lifetime. Almost everybody. Especially as a result of age.
That's true.
So when you now become disabled, will you now say it's time to kill you? No, because if your leg cannot walk or your hand cannot walk, you still remain the same inside, even without that leg or hand. Which is what God is with. The person. What you see is immaterial. The person is still all, nevertheless. Even when they are joined together, they are still all. But they are limited in the body.
Your explanation is vivid and it's clear, I guess. It's just like the example of electricity that I have in front of me.
Okay.
The electricity is there, but we cannot see it until two wires have been connected, both the negative and the positive, to give birth to a bright. So the electricity is there, but it will take two elements to spark the light.
Yeah.
So understanding what you're explaining is very simple. Bringing the ovary and the spermatozoa to join them to be able to fertilize, to give birth to this life is very easy to understand. Here's another example, a very interesting example. They call them the Povedeche. It's in the Dominican Republic. I think one of your, no, he's not the one. I was thinking of the guy from Holland, or Poland, Luvio or something.
Yeah.
He's not from there. So this group of people, there's something, the English word is called machihendras. The word machi is actually, I think, a Spanish or Portuguese word, which is, in English, most people call it macho. When they say it's acting macho, it means that it's acting manly. So the hindras, which means female. So we have macho, which means male, and hindra, which means female. So macho hindra is a birth condition where you have a daughter, she's growing at the age of 7, 10, 12, and she's getting to puberty age, and then all of a sudden, she starts developing male genital organ. Her voice becomes deeper, she starts developing a phallus. And most people, it becomes normal in the Dominican Republic now because they don't understand. So parents will give birth to children now, they'll be expecting, they'll be watching as the child is growing. Is this baby going to turn to Govedeche at the end of the day, or will the baby remain normal? So it's become normal. So in another country, they discriminate homosexuals. In the Dominican Republic, these abnormalities in bed becomes now a normal thing for them. And there are other examples too. There's another I say the reason for it to go away back to womb. Okay, we know that up to about 6 weeks, we are neither male nor female in the woman's womb. It's only then that if you have an XY chromosomes, the Y chromosomes release the testosterone, and particularly potent form of progesterone called dihydrotestosterone. All the scientific word, I don't know. I just try to keep them so that I won't make mistakes. If you don't get that, you become a girl. What happened in the Govedeche is that the lack of enzymes that convert the testosterone into the hydrotestosterone. So when they are born, they look like girls, they have testicles, but they are hidden in their body, inside their body. And they have what looks like a vagina. When, I hope it's not a very, I hope for knowledge's sake, we can use it this way. When they hit puberty, they get this surge of testosterone. That alone is enough to make them grow a penis and start to look like boys. So this is a constant, but at some point they were accusing the French government. They were accusing the French government of carrying out some medical experiment on them. Because there's a similar experiment going on in the US where they take frogs and some pygmies and these rats that they use for experiment. They insert certain chemicals in the blood and they watch them. And mostly they're claiming that the chemicals that are being used in the food can change your hormones, can make you to either start become a homosexual or other stuff. So they were accusing the French government at some point that they were involved in those things. But this thing is common. It's rampant.
No, there is a South African runner, I think Semeha, they call her or something, South African lady runner that they discovered that had the same problem. She's a long distance runner from South Africa, a woman, a lady like that. So it's a big news in the sports world. Mm-hmm.
So we have a situation where this child is growing, and then now you start developing this genital organs, and this mutation, we call it. So you're trying to say that there's nothing spiritual to it. There's no any spiritual misconception. There is just a biological aspect now.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
okay. So how then the question of who determines?
No, nobody determines.
Okay.
Nobody determines that, because it is a process of body development. It is a mutation, or it is a process of development. It's just like saying, well, there is a certain amount of food that a woman could be eating, and then she will begin to grow beards, because it's hormone. It's an hormone situation. So if the hormone, anything could happen with the body. There could be any disorder. All right. Okay. Yes, you are right. The lady from South Africa is called Caster Semenya. Yes. Somebody just writing the name. She had that condition. It became an international situation. Yeah. Anyway, so it's just a condition. It's just the same way that we are not many people. Most people who get sick of cancer. Cancer is a growth. Sometimes it will become big like that. Sometimes but it is a condition. It is a physical condition. But you will discover that person that is having, a big growth somewhere of cancer or something, that is whole inside. And God is spirit, and God is dealing with that spirit man. He's whole there. It's not affecting that even cancer that he has. The same with the body, just what as I explained, the one with the conjunction of the twins. It's just body, and that's why body doesn't go to heaven. That's why when people die, they leave the body on earth. It's not something from God as such. It's something from the earth. I don't know, not that it's not from God, it's not God created it. I'm saying it's not something that, that is divine, so to say. It's something that is earthly. It's that's why we get sick.
So in a situation where you disconnect the two wires, now where do the electricity disappear to?
Electricity?
When you have you have negative wire and positive wire, you connect them, it gives you a bulb, a light. Mm-hmm. You disconnect them, the light disappears.
Yes.
But
that is what you explained to you, that in the case of life is superior to electricity. Because in the case of electricity, the light will disappear. But in the case of life remains. And the life of the person is remain, because the principle is even higher than the principle of electricity. So that's why no matter what is happening to the body of a human being, as long as that human being is still alive, his life remains in him. And when it comes to men and women, God says, in God's eyes, when we get to heaven, there will be no man, there will be no woman. So there's an explanation in that. The woman and the woman is necessary just because of the functionality of the earth and the need for the earth, and because of the conditions of the earth. But when we really get back to heaven, that's why you said, biology says when a child is, is forming in the womber's womb, there are some few days or weeks when it's not really a boy or a child, because the way they come from God, God gives life to the person. So that's why Jesus had to bring equality between men and women. And that's why in Genesis, God just created man. And the word man in Genesis is not referring to a man or a woman. It's just referring to the word human. So that's what God created. But it is only in Genesis chapter 2 that they were now separated into two. So what the idea is that God created man as a total being, just like we will be in heaven. But the need for the earth, for the functioning of the earth and the peculiarities of the earth is what necessitated to have a male and a female. So it is the body thing. It is not the spirit thing. That's why the Bible in the New Testament says, in Christ Jesus, there is no more male or female. It's just like we'll be in heaven. We are just human. And that's why there must be no superiority of one over the other. Okay. The same with people who have the infirmities and deformities. There's really, the Bible also says we know no man by the flesh anymore. You know, we shouldn't be using the body or the look of people to judge who they are. You shouldn't know them by the flesh. The flesh shouldn't be what informs you out of the value of a man. The value of a man supersedes his body or his look or his condition.
Okay, I quote the thing, what you said last week. You said the place, the date, the time, the condition of your birth is connected to your destiny and the purpose to your birth. So how can we see these people that are having genetic disorder, this form of genetic mutation, how does this relate to them? Because first of all, you said the place, the date,
Yes.
the time,
Yes.
the condition of their birth,
Yes.
condition code,
Yes.
is connected to the purpose,
Yes.
to your destiny. How?
Yes.
What is the power?
For example, do you know the person that is called Ben Carson?
Yes.
Okay, why did he become famous and what did he become famous for?
For the surgery he performed on dividing, I think, the brain of twins, of the twin of separating the brain and just.
The very same thing you are asking me now. Because if not because of those twins that were jointed together, the place, the condition, the birth, which is totally unique. If they had been giving birth to separately, like every other twins, you would not know the name of Ben Carson today. Also, because of that, and thanks to that, those two twins, they are some of the most famous doctors now in Korea. And they are already famous from the very first day of their birth because they become a reference point. And even the ones that are still joined together, those people that are joined together, they are more famous than I and you today.
That's true. That's true.
So also could be said about Nick Vujicic, for example, that doesn't even have any of the things that to join together with anybody. He is more famous than all of us, too. You see, there is a purpose, even in the most absurd of things to the human mind.
Okay. So now there's a bit of spirituality, bit of biology, bit of geography now. So
everything, yes. Everything is connected together. God had everything in mind. That everything would not be in vain. The condition of your birth, the place, the date, and the condition of your birth, they all inform, they are connected to the purpose that God and the assignment that God has for you. Now, the guy that is without the arms and the feet and everything is fulfilling his purpose in such an active way that even people that has everything, for some reason, they are not as good as in what he's doing. Because in him, in the spirit realm, because a man is a spirit, he is totally whole. Just like the people who are joined together, they are totally whole, even though their body is conjoined together. And but then, like I said, if you go to the video, if you go to YouTube now and see the number of people who have watched their video of conjoined together with their head, with all the limitations, you discover that they are even more famous than all of us. So you wonder which one is better at the end of the day.
somebody's asked a very interesting question. I hope that part is clear, that people get to understand it. You try to help us to understand this thing. I get the point you're saying. I understand the connection of the life you're saying, where two elements come in to give birth to life and how the body goes back to perish and the life still continue to live. Like the example I gave a few minutes ago about the electricity. I'm not sure you got it, but I had this image in my mind that the electricity doesn't disappear. It's actually there.
It only transforms. Yeah, energy never. Energy is never created or disappeared or destroyed. It can only be transformed. Yeah. But
So
what
I thought,
I was thinking that you were talking about just the physical aspect of it.
no,
Because when
no,
it is in the physical, people don't see light, they think it has disappeared.
yes,
But really, it never really disappears. So which also take us to the spiritual dimension of it.
so therefore, even if a man dies, there's still that spirit.
It never disappears. So which is also another argument that should make somebody that is smart to know that life can never disappear. And death is really an illusion. And that Christianity is what is right. It is the only logical explanation. Because in science, they say when you die, you die. Everything is up. But when you go to science also, you will discover that science tells us that energy cannot be destroyed or it cannot disappear. So if energy cannot disappear and life is energy, so which means that that life goes somewhere and is transformed into another form. So which means that the science doesn't know. You see, the problem with science is that what they don't know for now, they just say it doesn't, it's not there. We know it's not existing. We don't know, so it's okay. Let's just move on. And then they make a strong point about what they know right now. And but really, if the science itself is conflict, for you to say there is no life after death, no God, then it's for you to deny the whole essence of physics itself. And physics is about the fact that energy only gets transformed.
Does this validate reincarnation? Because how do
Yes, it validates reincarnation, but it depends on what you mean by reincarnation. I believe in reincarnation, but I don't believe in the reincarnation of the East. I believe in the biblical reincarnation.
Okay, I don't understand the difference between the reincarnation of the East and the reincarnation of the biblical reincarnation. What do you mean by that? Can you comment?
The difference is that in the Eastern part of reincarnation, they don't see dimensions. The Eastern philosophy thinks that any being, any living being that dies reincarnates, but it could be reincarnated on any form of living being as well. So, for example, if a man dies, we could reincarnate and comes back, but it could come back in the form of dog or rat or something like that. But it's still reincarnation. They still think that it's still the same person. But in the Bible, the biblical reincarnation doesn't allow for that, because these are everything reincarnates according to his kind. Everything reproduces according to his kind. So there is a dimension, just like I was telling you about the dimension of man and the dimension of the cat. They don't belong in the same dimension. So they cannot jump. They are like parallel lines that cannot cross each other. But there is no scientific explanation in Buddhism. But there is a more scientific explanation in Christianity. And that's what I said. I don't believe in the reincarnation of the East. I believe in the biblical reincarnation.
So you have the Yorubas who believe that humans are reincarnated, but not in animal form, but purely human form, that they take another body shape. And they have tons of evidence for this. If you ask them, they will tell you that this person died, they gave it to this child, mark on their body.
Yes.
They will tell you that this and that. Yes. So is that form of reincarnation? Is it according to the Bible?
Now, that reincarnation is African traditional religion, African animism, right? That is animistic. But it is not biblical. Because there is a difference between biblical reincarnation and animistic reincarnation.
Because these people, let me just make a comment here, give you the chance to explain that. They do not just come up with this, they observe nature, they observe planting of maize and how they give birth to new life. They came up with it. It's not that the idea just came up from somewhere. But they're not certainly contradicting God. They're certainly saying that life continues, life is an energy that it regenerates, it comes back in different forms. So how does it differ? Is it because it's African that it's evil? Or?
No, it's not evil because it's African. It is just that there is no comprehensive explanation in the Yoruba incarnation or reincarnation, which I know very well. But any observation that you said they have proofs, of. I know this from very small child. I was studying it myself. I have all those evidences. I have different stories that I could tell you about. And the explanation is that all their evidences is only connected with the body. Is only connected with the explanation and with the body, explanatory body. So it's always observatory. So what they say is always with the, but we know, like I've just explained to you today, that body is what is just needed to operate on the earth. Body itself doesn't constitute human. But in my Yoruba mythology, they don't separate between body so much and the spirit. They don't know the difference. They just see you as an entity, which is a human being. And to them, that is integral. That is one. So it is you who died. It is you who came back. So when they see the evidences, some physical, observable evidences in the outward, they come to the conclusion that that is the same entity of personality of you, even though it is the observatory, the body is what they say. But we know better that man goes beyond body. Man goes to the level of soul, then man is spirit and all that. So that's why I would rather keep and pitch my tent with the biblical reincarnation.
What does the biblical reincarnation tell us? What does it tell us?
The biblical reincarnation is that life doesn't end on earth. And life doesn't necessarily end at all. And life is a continuous. Life is simply goes through the process of transformation. Exactly the way you have said it in relation to energy and to electricity. That energy is never destroyed. Energy is only converted from one form to the other. So when a man dies, the body is not the man. So you dispose of the body. That's biblical reincarnation. But the spirit of the man goes to get a better body, which gives him opportunity to live in the spirit realm. Just like Jesus had. When Jesus was killed, he resurrected, ascended to heaven. Even before he went to heaven, he came back with another body. And they were saying, is that you? Is that not? He said, touch me. This mark was there, but he was able to go through the walls. And he was able to, ascend physically to the heavens. He was able to appear, different, because that is still the same Jesus, but he has reincarnated in a superior body, in a different superior form, and appeared to his disciples in body, but in a different body that is much more superior than the one he had on the earth. Which confirms also another thing in philosophy and in science, what do you call it? Dialectics. That is dialectics in philosophy. So dialectics is that everything goes from one quality to another, from a worse quality to a better quality. So which is the basis for the theory of, not creation. What is the other theory? Theory of evolution. So it is dialectics that is the basis of evolution. And it is evolution that we are talking about right now, that, that even Bible confirms evolution. That you go from one form to the other, because according to the evolution that even atheists believe in, that is still the same dialectics that is taking place. So, all these things are confirmed by the Bible. But they are scientifically based. Bible is scientifically based. But unfortunately for Christians, These things that I'm explaining to you now, Christians might not be able to explain to you. So the Christians argue Christianity not from scientific or philosophical point of view. They don't combine philosophy and science with Christianity. They tend to separate Christianity from philosophy and separate Christianity from science, and and just want to make it religion. That is when there seems to be conflict between faith or Christianity and science, and that's why we have atheists. But unfortunately, the atheists also don't know that these things are there in Christianity. They don't know that the arguments that they are using to oppose Christianity is actually a Christian argument, and that it is there in the Bible. Only they are not so deep. Just like Christians don't know enough in most cases, they too don't know enough in religion. They just know the general thing that they hear other Christians talk about. But when they talk to me, someone like me, they say, so what? We don't have any problem now. It's the same thing. Because I know I go deep in my studies. And that helps me to really be able to bring things in the right perception of God, God's perception.
I think it's a question of semantics, as you said, because there are two words, they mean the same thing, but it's just how you decide to see it. If you say witchcraft, somebody will just say, hey, that's superstition. But if you tell that person science, they will quickly believe you, because they attach meaning to these two words, because there's no difference between witchcraft and science. Although because if you observe the way they manipulate their forces, the witch is somebody who tried to manipulate the energy, the force, to be able to give a result to certain stuff. They play this energy, they try to combine them to. They use elements to be able to produce another energy. Likewise, science, we can be able to talk today.
Yeah, just like in Nigeria, for example, you have these pastors that are using extrasensory perception, which is scientific, but that's the scientific language. So when we talk and say these people are using witchcraft, so we say witchcraft? No, it's not witchcraft. It's science. Oh, if it is science, it's okay.
Yes. If it's science, it's okay, but if you say witchcraft, no.
Yeah.
So it's just the employment. That's where the confusion comes in, because the Bible is written in a specific manner. They employ certain words, this different literature to explain certain stuff. Science speaks with different language, so it becomes difficult for people to be able to understand. For instance, somebody asked a question that was the difference. Does the spirit grow? Will your spirit grow? The person wants to understand if the spirit of human grow. What is the spirit of human? Is there any, somebody will say this person is in a higher dimension of the spirit. What does that mean actually? Does it mean that this person has better understanding of the spirit? So when you talk of understanding, you get to notice that actually dealing with knowledge. This person knows something that you don't know.
Yeah.
Therefore, you think that this person is mature in the spirit. Yeah. So you see that is also the difference is in the words that you employ when speaking, when you say this and what it says to other people.
But it goes beyond the words. It goes beyond the words to the knowledge. What you don't know, what you don't know.
True.
Yeah.
You were speaking, and I was grappling to understand what you were trying to say when you were explaining the biblical reincarnation, because that word reincarnation in English actually means reincarnate. Carnate, which means flesh, it means palpable, it means something that you can touch and feel it. But in the biblical sense, to reincarnate doesn't mean that you take another form of flesh that is palpable. It means you transcend. So I was trying to look for the words that actually fit to that explanation, and I just found the exact word, which is not reincarnate, actually mean to transcend, which is actually the real theory of evolution. Because you evolve, you transcend to a higher body, you don't reincarnate, because reincarnating means taking another flesh, taking another form of a palpable
No,
flesh.
it depends on how you describe the word reincarnate. If I go to the to the dictionary now, I can go and check it. You will see that reincarnation is also described as the transformation of life from one life to another life, or the coming again of life in different form. So let me see. So it's not just in connection. Okay. I got it here.
The point I was trying to explain is the etymology of the word, because carne, which means flesh.
Okay, see it here. It says the meaning that it gives here is one. The rebirth of a soul in another body, which is not necessarily flesh. That's number one meaning. Then second meaning, a person or animal in whom a particular soul is believed to have been reborn. Right? That's number two meaning. Number three meaning, a new version of something from the past. A new version of something, of a life from the past. So in Christianity, this is also reincarnation. And the life that I used to have now, that I'm having now, is going to reincarnate into another body and into another life, but in a new version.
Okay. I personally think that is transcendency, the version of the
Yes,
Christian
which is true.
Your body, you do not take another flesh, palpable flesh, but you transcend to another dimension.
But you
because
see,
this flesh, the body that the Christian is taking, is not palpable to human. It's not palpable, and there are certain. It's not subject to hunger or to diseases or other stuff.
It's not mortal, yeah.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that the etymology of this word reincarnate.
Yeah.
The word carnal, which means flesh, which means that's why we have the word carnal. It carnal, something fleshy, something earthly. So that word actually means a body, a flesh, something solid.
But I just went into the dictionary now. You know, any word will always have 1, 2, 3 understanding to it. You know, so it could be the way you are saying it. It could also be the way the dictionary says it. So it could be another body. But in another form, a higher level. So I understand that with Christianity, it is also reincarnate. You know, you might not use the word reincarnate, and most Christians don't even like the word reincarnate, and or you know, they don't like it, and because it reminds them of Eastern religion, and it reminds them of Buddhism. So they said, no, we shouldn't even use that word. But the process itself is that life doesn't end in this particular body that we have. Our body also goes through a process of transformation from one quality to another, from one level to another, from one body to another. Only in the Bible describes to us that there is a perishable body and there is imperishable body. So that's what you are trying to say. That what happens with the Christian body is not reincarnation to mortal body, but it's going to be, you know, into an imperishable body. But it is still another body. That's just what I was trying to say, that it is still a changing, or even though our life doesn't end, we reincarnate in resurrection. We reincarnate in another superior immortal body or imperishable body. But we don't just perish like...
We transcend.
We transcend, yes. We transcend from earth to...
Perishable body.
Yeah. Not just from body, but when it comes to... If you want to use transition, that we transcend, then that will actually mean talking about the two worlds, that we are transcending from one world to the other. But then we get another body in the process, yeah.
Because it seems clearer that way, because because reincarnation actually means leaving a perishable body to take another perishable body, which means that you're subjected to the same law of the past body, that the real sense of it. So when you transcend the perishable body.
You know, when you look at reincarnation, okay, for example, I was just looking at a dictionary.
Yes.
You would discover that in India, people believe that part of reincarnation, people could become spirits, people could become winds, people become river, or people could become rain, or some things in nature also, or tree. That's why you see people worship trees, not just animals, but trees, or some things like that. Why? That's part of also reincarnation in their own religion. They think it is also reincarnation. So when they believe that that tree is the life of their grandfather that was there, they turned it into a whole big stuff and begin to bring food to you. You cannot cut it. You cannot. All kind of things happen like that. So different people have different interpretation to the word reincarnation. But like I said, I don't pitch my tent with the reincarnation in Buddhism. I don't put my tent with the reincarnation even in my own Yoruba religion. My own understanding, the reincarnation that I see and I find to be explainable to me, better explainable, is the reincarnation of the Bible, which is what you call transcending or transition from one level of life to another, to a better level of life.
Transcendency. Powerful conversation. I think I get it now. I get it.
Sorry?
No, I think I get your point.
Yeah, so when it comes to the twins, to the conjoined twins, we are only dealing with the body. And that's why nobody will say, that's why to argue that science is not a creation of God or it's not a blessing is foolishness. Because when things go wrong in the body, that's why we need the science. And God gave the knowledge for that science. And that's why, thank God, the science of medicine could bring order into a situation when twins are joined together like that.
I'm just trying to see comment of what incarnation.
Yeah, you can read a few comments. We are always almost finished anyway. It's just about.
Yes, we have exhausted it.
Yes.
Okay, there is Chris Ali says that the karma in reincarnation, incarnation refers to flesh or meat of the human body. Thus, incarnate means in the flesh. Reincarnation is a word that means to be born again in the flesh. It refers to being reborn and is generally associated with the belief that when people die, they will be born again into a new body. So I think he's still reinforcing the idea that you still take the perishable body from another perishable to another perishable body.
Yeah.
So if you're leaving the perishable body to a higher body that is not perishable, it means that you're transcending.
Okay.
How about somebody transferring their spirit into another person's body?
Which one is that one?
No, somebody's asking that. How about somebody transferring? Somebody's asking
is that a form of reincarnation or what?
No, say how about? I doubt very much. He say how about somebody transferring their spirit into another? Somebody transferring the person is involved in the process of transferring the spirit. I doubt very much. I think it's some kind of our old superstition. But somebody has a question for you. He say rebel. Say, but Jesus was not reborn, but came from one form into another. My understanding from the spirit to flesh. Okay. That he came from the spirit to flesh and led the flesh to the spirit. He said, but Jesus was not reborn, but came from one form into another. Here's Helen D. She's saying that they believe that the soul, upon death of the body, comes back to earth in another body or form. Lukeman and Kada said that within the religion, there are also 7 angels and believing.
That's the Eastern understanding of reincarnation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, somebody's laughing. Somebody's saying this is deep. Mariam, don't go. Mariam sounds Hausa.
Yeah,
They say,
she could be Hausa, but Hausa from, I think from Ghana also.
oh. So Helen D said, they will say that she's trying to say what Christian will say. That the Christian will say that only the spirit man will understand. Stephen here is saying that what you said about Jesus Christ, that but his body got disappeared at the tomb where he was buried. Funny comment. Somebody said Jews would disappear to Jupiter when they died. Somebody said they believe if a wicked king dies, he reincarnates as a lion, and a foolish person reincarnates as a goat, and dirty person as a pig. These are all African superstitions. Thank you so much. This I think I've exhausted.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
There are a list of 6 questions, but they are totally different from this topic. We just, I don't know, bringing them will distort the understanding totally. I'll go and cogitate on this.
Yeah, we can do it next week.
Yes. This one is completely has nothing to do with it. And
I hope next week is not Ramadan. Yeah, we can, you know, to this conversation is very, very fruitful and very, very nice. So we can end this one on this one, but then, you know, next time you can pick on any of those new ones.
Somebody say, Magaji, I'm waiting for your first sermon. Thank you for all the explanation. I'm enlightened. I understand certain stuff now. I'm a better friend. While we're speaking, certain inspiration will come in.
Yeah. And I will be back in the next 40 minutes or 20 minutes, 30 minutes with Oyedepo and the God of Mammon.
Yes, we'll be right there with you. I saw videos of someone. I think you played the video in your too, because I don't know, somebody in man was castigating you for coming up to speak. I said maybe he didn't see the what you were saying, trying to give.
They normally will not listen to what I'm saying. As soon as they see that you mention the name of their gods of men, they immediately go on attack. It doesn't matter what you say.
I think he didn't watch the video because, according to what he was saying, he seemed like he doesn't understand. He said that you claim that the Jews are doing something wrong, which only you know. I say if he had watched the video, he will see that yes, what you are pointing out is true, that they're doing the wrong thing. You know, I was watching a live broadcast yesterday in South Africa. Was it this morning? And the pastor was saying the same thing that Shimolo was said about. It's not your prayer, but it's your seed.
Yeah.
So he was repeating verbatim exactly what Ashimono was saying. This is South African. This one is actually from Zimbabwe. He was repeating the same thing. I was like, where did this one get this idea from? He's telling the people that don't come to man of God with empty hand. Huge crowd like this. So I say, these people, they just taking the whole idea. So the man was saying in his video that you are castigating these people instead of you to call them personally and talk to them, or instead you pray for them. He doesn't see anything wrong in what they're doing. I say, this one, he didn't even watch the video. He just saw it, but he just saw Ashimolo, the God of Mammon, and then he just came in on him. And he's contradicting exactly things he's advising him to do. So the whole thing was funny. All right. Thank you so much.